From call centres and speed bumps to nose rings and Miley Cyrus, there's plenty about the modern world to take the mildest of old men grumpy. A new book featuring grumbles from famous Kiwi blokes has been flying off the shelves, so we thought we'd host a special Grumpy Old Men's panel with contributors Sir Peter Leitch, David McPhail and writer Paul Little. Hey, welcome to the show, guys. Good to have you on the show. Paul, well on the book, congratulations.
Thanks, Wallace.
Was it much of an effort getting the grumpy old men together and doing this book? Tell me.
It was much less of an effort than I expected. I thought when I asked these guys to, give their time, quite busy people, many of them, and people like Peter and David as well, to give their
Here
time,
we go, we started.
That I had no right to expect them, but they were all great. Many of them, like these guys, answered instantly and were really enthusiastic. We had a few no's, but for various reasons. But no, I was just thrilled with the calibre and the quality and the variety of the guys who agreed to take part.
Paul, are you grumpy? Are you a grumpy middle-aged man?
I think I'm grumpier than other people think I am. Yeah, and I'm well within the age limit for the book because we cut it off at 55, and I've been over that for some time now.
David McPhail, what makes you grumpy? One thing that you said makes you grumpy in the book was economists. Explain.
Well, yes, I get confused. Oh, I tell you one thing that makes me grumpy right at the moment is teeth.
Oh?
I had one extracted.
I commend them some.
Teeth and old age, I think. No, economists, they baffle me, as they baffle a lot of people, and probably their fellow economists as well. But the thing that always annoys me is that there will be a prediction, which I won't understand, but they'll predict this, that, or the other thing. 6 months later, the reverse happens, and they forget they made the prediction. Or they make another prediction. And they're never held to account.
And it's one of those few professions that they can change like the wind. Other professions, you wouldn't get away with that, would you?
No, you wouldn't.
As you said.
You'd be expected to explain what went wrong, but they forget.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about you, Sir Peter Leitch? I mean, I first met you in a corridor of a hotel, and you went, Wallace Chapman, and I went, Peter Leitch, and we got in like a house on fire, and you seem to be the least grumpiest person I have ever met. Why are you in this book?
Because I paid Paul $1,000
Yeah,
to get in there.
that's what I was going to wonder, yeah.
No, look, there's things that annoy me. Like, I get annoyed when I hear people ring up talkback radio and talk a load of bollocks. And you know it's bollocks. And the silly talkback host is going along with them because he knows no better.
Oh, come on.
Not looking at anyone in particular.
Now you're being a real grump.
Yeah. That sort of thing does irritate me. Or
Peter, you're blessed with a grumpy voice, though. You've got like the grumpiest voice of anybody in the book. But Wallace is absolutely right. I've only got to know you over the book, but you're unbelievably friendly and nice and kind. It's just pains me to say it, but fortunately you don't sound it.
Yeah. I agree entirely.
I can be tough. I can be nasty. When that guy gave me a speeding ticket the other day, I said, why don't you go back? Or I said, no, you can't say that. I get grumpy.
You gave him a big hug. But both of you, David, are you a natural grump, or is it something that just happens every now and then, like you do have a parking fine, or you read something about an economist? Are you naturally grumpy as a default?
I don't think so, no. I think I'm relatively placid. But there are certain things that do annoy me, and when they do, I tend to, make them worse than they are. So, no, I think I'm generally quite placid, but as I say, certain things I get very irritated by.
Well, here's one thing that really annoys me, and I get really brassed off about it. If I'm going for a nice dinner, and this happened just last week in Wellington, you go to this hip little restaurant for a meal, the music is too loud. I get very annoyed, and it gets under my skin, Paul.
Oh, you're way ahead of your demographic. You're not Gen Y by any chance, technically? You will have looked into this?
I am Generation X.
Oh, OK. Well, you're lucky. Yeah. Because Gen Y, aren't they ghastly?
Shocking.
They are nightmares. No, well, that is one of the things that makes me grumpy. The number of times I've sort of arranged with somebody to do something, for instance, whether it's somebody who's working for you or you're contracting for, or you're going to do some work for them, and it doesn't happen, or they don't show, or it's something, and you sort of mention this and say, oh, yeah, look, I had a hell of a morning.
Yeah.
And I didn't, obviously.
Yeah.
One thing that the other person in the book that I found interesting was broadcaster Kevin Milne, and he said what really annoys him is because he likes post-TV. His big thing of the day is going to the supermarket and having that personal interaction. He gets brassed off about self-checkouts. What do you do, Sir Peter? Do you do the checkout self-service?
Must be joking. Now you've touched on a raw nerve. Because, mate, that's doing people out of jobs. That's the supermarkets just trying to make more money. And that when I go to the airport, I won't use the self-check-ins because you're doing people out of jobs. We've got to keep people in work in this country. So you do get me upset when you bring that up. I come out fighting now. Bring the gloves out, put the gloves on. I'm reared up that we've started a war now.
So can you tell me then we will not see self-service checkouts in any mad butcher across the country?
Well, if I owned it, I could, but I don't own it.
Yes,
but I can't tell you. As long as I'm alive, I will fight it. I'll fight it on the beaches. I'll fight it all around. No self-service like that in the mad butchers.
I take that back. You're one of the most grumpiest men I've ever met in 2013. David, what about you? Self-service checkout.
No, I agree with Peter on this entirely. And also, my case is exacerbated by the fact that whenever I go to the supermarket, I invariably buy wine. I may come as a surprise, yeah. I mean,
oh, I'm totally shocked.
Yeah, I do. You know, sometimes 2 or 3 bottles. It's amazing.
2 or 3 bottles.
Yes, for late, late breakfast.
Yeah, but every time you go to a self-checkout, you know, do it.
Yeah.
And you have to wait because someone has to come from the other side of the store to press a button like that. And they look at me and I say to them, do I look 21? Or 19? Can't you tell? I am a very old man. I'm allowed to get this stuff. But no, I agree with Peter. I think anything that does people out of jobs, that's I don't like at all.
Well, we're certainly really getting in our grumpy mode this morning on Good Morning. Stick around, the grumpy old men. We'll be back with more grizzles right after the break.